Welcome to Dave's Shop. I'm Dave. On today's episode, we're going to be making a wooden stool. You heard me right, a wooden stool. But this is a special wooden stool. A couple of weeks ago, I noticed when I was visiting my grandson that when his dad comes home, he loves to run to the window and look outside and call his name. Problem was, he was standing on a box and he had to stand on his tippy toes of the cardboard box just to try to look out the window. So I thought, come on, I gotta have some scrap wood laying around to be useful. So I went ahead, made a SketchUp, and here we are today. We're going to put it together with some of the scrap wood I have in the shop. So I hope you stay tuned and follow along. Okay, so in this project, I'm going to make something for my grandson. As I mentioned earlier, he's almost 2, and when he loves to go to the window and try to look out to see his dad coming home. And right now he's stepping up on a box, and it's probably not the best thing to do. So I've got some scrap wood here. I made a quick little drawing on Sketchup and figured out all the pieces I need, and I think between this 1/2 inch plywood scrap, a 3/4 inch plywood scrap, and some pine, I can make this. So having said that, let's head over to the table saw and we'll start cutting up our pieces. All right, first up, we'll be cutting 3/4 inch plywood, and I need 2 pieces that are 9.5 inches wide by 20.5 inches long. So we'll cut the width first, and then we'll cut them to length. All right, so we got our pieces cut to width, now we'll cut them to length. There we go. Okay, so we will have to cut in for a step, the first step that he can climb up on. We'll do that probably with a jigsaw, or maybe a circular saw. Anyways, so that's one down. So I'll do the same thing to the other piece. Okay, so that's our 2 pieces cut. Okay, so learning / teaching moment. When you're cutting your boards, you do want to look at which sides are going to be exposed. So I cut them both from the same side, and as you notice, this looks nice on both sides. But in reality, when they're put together, they're going to be like this. So one side's going to have all the naughty or the not so good side out. In this case, it doesn't really matter because it's just this box to stand on. I'll probably pick this side for this side because it's got less knots in it. But just something for me to continue to learn, and for anybody watching that, you know, you can call it a mistake, but you know, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning things. So, hindsight, I would have flipped this over, cut on this side, and then it would have been like this, nice and clean on both sides. But again, we're learning as we're going along, and I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm sure somebody else may have seen that, but it's okay. Okay, so we're gonna cut our strips from this 1/2 inch plywood. Gonna need one that's 4.5 inches, one 6-inch, and one 15-inch. And then we'll square them up over on the table saw. This is just probably about, no, I know it's more than 12 inches, so yeah, just 13 5/8. So we'll do a nice even cut here using my cutoff board, and then we'll square up the ends over on the table saw. So I need a Okay, so I'll just clean up the workbench here, and then we'll put these pieces onto our platform stand. Alright, so we're going to trim up the edge on each one of these, and then we're going to cut them to 12 inches width, and that should give us a good square product to be working with. Okay, let's take these over and put them onto our platform. Alright, so now we're ready to cut our strips of pine, 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch. So I've got a 3/4 by about 4 1/4. I think I've took a piece off of this one for something else. Anyways, should be able to get 4 strips from this. And we'll set up our blade to 3/4 inch, and then we'll get cutting. Okay, so we got our 4 pieces cut to 3/4. So the next step will be is cut them to length, and then we'll round over the sides just so they're got a soft edge to them and nothing that is going to get hurt on. All right. So according to my cut list, which I use the on-site, on-web version of Cut List Optimizer, and if you're not familiar with it, I'll put a link in the bottom. You can either use it free, you get a couple of uses out of it every day, or if you need more than that, you can opt to pay into a program for it. It's pretty easy. You put in what you need to cut out, so your length and your width and your quantity. You can give them a label, and then it'll go through based on what you say you have for material and tell you the best optimized cutting that you need to do to get the most out of your wood with least amount of scrap. So according to this, out of the board that I had, it said I needed to cut 4 strips, which I've done, and now 3 of the strips I need to cut 6 pieces at 22 3/4 inches long. Now, I don't have a miter set up here in my shop yet, so I'm just going to have to measure and use my board here, and we'll cut them, and that'll work. Okay, so according to the cut list, I need to do the leftovers of the first 2. I need to cut 2 at 11 inches, and these are actually going to be the little handrails when he starts to go up. So I've got to cut them at a 45 angle and cut them to length. So I think I'm going to, for now, I'm going to leave these as is. They're a little long, but that's okay. I'll trim them to the right size when we do the 45. So I'm going to set those over on the workbench, and the last we have to do is I need 2 pieces 15 inches long and 1 piece 13 and a half from the last piece that we cut. Okay, now we get all our pieces cut. We'll put them through the router, and we'll give them a soft edge to them. Alright, I've got the router table all set up. I've got a 1/4 inch round over. Got the height set and checked. I used a scrap piece. It's always a good idea just to make sure you've got it where you want. It's got a nice round over here now on it. So we're going to go ahead and round over all the edges on the pieces we just cut for the railing and the post. Okay, so we've got them all done, and I think I'm going to take a look at the steps. and just do a round over on the top of them as well. Again, it's not necessary, but I mean, he is just about 2, so I'd like to keep as many of the sharp edges reduced. Alright, so we're going to assemble some of the box here now. I've got my 1/2-inch plywood pieces all ready to go. I got my clamps, I got my glue, and we're going to use our brad nailer to put it together. So I want to get some glue on here first. And I know I did mention earlier in one of the other segments, I think it was, that I was going to round over the edges on the plywood. I think I'm going to wait until it glues up and then we'll round it over. I just want to make sure these edges are lined up before I put a nail in the bottom. And I just want to bring this together a little bit so the edges are good. Okay, put some glue down. And then the last piece will be the top piece. Okay, so we'll get glue all around it. There, so we'll let that all set up. We'll come back and we'll round over the edges, and we can give it a sanding, and then we can start to put the railing on. Alright, so I think we'll give this a rough sanding with a 180, and then we'll go to a 220 just to clean up some of the sides and make sure it's nice and smooth. And then we'll ease the edge over, and then I think we'll put on our posts and railing and give it a coat of poly. And then we'll just give it a quick light sanding by hand just to knock it down, and then give it a second coat of poly, and take it over and test it out with the client or customer. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so we'll set up for the router, and then we'll just round over the edges, and then like I said, I'll give these a quick sanding as well, and we'll be starting to attach them. Obviously that's not the right one, and these will go on here like this. Sorry, like this. Okay. Okay, that's good. So next step is sanding all the rails and whatnot, and then we can attach the posts and the rails and give it a cleanup, wipe it down, give it a coat of polyurethane, give it a light sanding by hand, and then our last coat of poly. Okay, so I've gone ahead and measured down 4 inches from the top, put a mark, put a board across just so we can got something to try to keep these things level and square. I'm going to use my square, and I'll take the first one. We're going to clamp it right near the edge. Get the bottom screw in. Just double check that we're square. We'll put the second one in. Okay, and then we'll just do the same thing on the other end. The other end, they're going to need a longer clamp. Oh, sorry about that. Start again. We got that on backwards. Okay, that's good. Okay, so that's the 4 posts installed for the platform. So you need to miter the corners for here and put the angle on the front posts and the angle on the handrails at the front. So we'll do all that over at the table saw. All right, we're going to attach the top railings here now. All right, so yesterday we finished off. We uh, assembled all the railing, the handles, or the handrails, and given it another couple of coats. Sorry, I've given it a couple more sandings. So I think we're ready to go. It's all been wiped down. I got my poly ready to go here. So slap my gloves on, and we'll give it a stir, and we'll start putting it on. Well, there it is. 3 coats of polyurethane. Just going to let it dry. And I'll take it to them in a couple of days. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I did. It was something I felt that I could do for my grandson to help him see his dad when he's coming home. It didn't take a lot. It was actually just some scrap that I had laying around. I probably would have done some other things with it. But now he's got something that he can stand at the window and look at and call his dad when he's coming home. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future upcoming episodes. Thanks for joining. Bye.